Mute, unmute. We're live. Welcome. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Definitive Rankings of Everything. We're here with our good friend Brian Simpson. There he is.
Me.
Brian chose to do drugs. Do you have a reason? This wasn't even on our list we gave you. You chose this by yourself.
Oh, really? So y'all was never gonna get to this?
We never discussed it, but I love it as a list.
Yeah, I really like it.
Yeah, I'm shocked. I'm shocked that it wasn't on your list.
Yeah, I kind of am too. I guess.
Because we all love drugs.
Yeah, we do, and there's lots of them.
It's a common theme between this group of people.
In fact, I would say maybe 40% of our friendships are at least drugs are in the. I mean, comedy is obviously what we have in common the most,
Right.
but drugs was part of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the glue.
Yeah, for sure.
It's how you make friends sometimes in the comedy world. That's how you do it.
It's like, look, if comedy is the glue, then drugs is the little bit of like the extra glue that's sticking out the side when you press it together.
The visible glue.
The visible glue.
100%. Me and Brian have become closer over smoking weed and cigarettes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The doubt.
I believe that.
I like the visible glue because like you can't tell if we're all comedians, but at some point you can look at us and be like, "Oh, those guys are on drugs."
Yeah, you can see it. All right. Well, Brian, you want to get us started? What'd you have at number one?
Well, number one, I'm gonna say is alcohol.
Okay.
Interesting. You have alcohol number one.
Well, because he said it's not about our favorite; it's about what's the most popular, like worldwide.
Mhm.
And they've been drinking alcohol since forever, since medieval times, or before that, right?
Yeah. I mean, in the Bible, even
Yep.
they were drinking alcohol.
Yeah, every culture in the world does alcohol.
Yeah.
It's legal in every country except Singapore, maybe.
It's illegal in a lot of Muslim countries too.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
But is
yeah.
it a venue?
Like black market stuff for sure.
No.
Like in places like Dubai for sure because they have a lot of like tourists, but outside the UAE, alcohol is very hard to find. And I imagine Saudi Arabia is the same.
Interesting.
It's also the only drug that's like part of several religions.
Yep.
You got to drink.
Not the only one.
You got to. Oh no. Oh well.
No.
No facts.
I mean, it's a strong number one.
Yeah. I
It is.
had it on my list at 2, but
I have it at 3.
I do
I have
think
it
it's
at
up there.
3. I have it at 3.
Wow. What's your number one?
Caffeine.
My number. Oh,
Oh wow.
you put caffeine?
Caffeine.
Interesting. I
I have caffeine at number 2.
I had weed as number one.
I mean,
Really?
society.
Just because of when someone says the word drug, the first thing I picture is weed. It's like the most drug. I mean, alcohol and caffeine are like technically drugs, and I think they deserve to be high on the list. But when I think of drugs, I think of weed first.
That's like the lowest level of drug for you.
Yeah, yeah, essentially.
I had weed at 5.
I just think it's the most iconic, but I also
Yeah,
I also understand the argument for alcohol and caffeine because they're like way more popular and more people do them, and
No, that's what you mean by iconic. Is popularity, cultural impact.
yeah, just like what
Wow.
pops in your head when someone says the word drugs.
Mm.
That's kind of how I think about this.
I mean, I felt a little bit out the box for my number one, but I had DMT/ayahuasca. And before, let me explain why. For me, it's the only one on the list that's unavoidable because it's the chemical release in your brain when you die. So at some point throughout the life process, we are all going to experience this. You could technically go your whole life without drinking alcohol. You could go your whole life without having coffee, but you are going to have that DMT trip before you pass on to the other side.
Is the trip a drug though?
I mean, I gotta assume because I haven't died yet. Not saying I will, not saying I won't. But when you do, the chemical release out of your brain, that's the last thing you
Oh,
experience.
but also there's
Morgan, real quick, Morgan, you definitely will. I'm just gonna rip that man out right now.
No, but wait a minute. There's a big giant hole in your theory
What is that?
because there are probably millions of people that have died without experiencing that. Like people that have had their fucking heads chopped off, people that have been disintegrated in nuclear blasts and bombs and shit. People that have been shot.
That's a good point.
So not every single person.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I also think like when like we're talking about drugs, and I don't think that chemical release counts as a drug unless you take the drug.
Yeah, you gotta do the drug.
Right.
It's not just like a drug isn't something that's just released like just naturally in your body, waiting for something to. Like I'm pretty sure it's like an intake thing here.
Molly releases
There has to be
serotonin.
just a decision to take the drug. Okay.
Matt, how do you end up with the final list? Are you taking tallies right now?
We kind of debate
Am I taking what right now?
until we all agree on something.
Oh.
Yeah, we start from 1 and go through 10, and we all see if we can come with a consensus.
I mean, I kind of like alcohol here. I think, I had caffeine way lower on my list just because it's kind of it's pussy shit if you're talking about drugs.
Well, that's why I put it up there. We're so desensitized to it as a drug that's how you look at it. Like it's not even a drug; it's just part of our everyday sort of existence.
Sure.
That the fact that you're so that you call it pussy. I mean, it's still a drug.
Yeah.
And it's probably the easiest drug to get your hands on out of all of these, probably.
Well, what about if we include that? What about sugar? Can we count that as a drug?
No, because even though because if you go there, then you can count every food item as a drug.
Sure.
I think it has to be something that you take for the specific purpose of altering your state, your mind,
or desired effect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because even though you can get addicted to sugar, a lot of people have sugar addiction. I don't think that's the only prerequisite. You know, because I'm addicted to oxygen. I'm addicted to fried chicken. You know, maybe I wouldn't go through withdrawal.
Think about it.
I think. I think we would. I think so. Are we? Okay.
Yeah. Let's figure out what we want to put one here. I think it's between weed, alcohol, and caffeine are going to be our top 3 probably. That seems like where we're at.
I have weed as 4.
Oh, really?
I have weed at 5. Yeah.
Okay.
I have nicotine above weed.
So let's go. Let's discuss alcohol and caffeine for number 1.
Okay, because I do want to put this. I do have nicotine above alcohol because I think because of those heavy Muslim countries, I think more people smoke than drink.
Worldwide or just in the Muslim countries?
Worldwide, but because those Muslim countries really tip it in that direction. Because Muslim countries smoke heavy. They smoke heavy.
Damn.
And everyone, most people who drink also smoke, right? I would say those two go hand in hand.
No, I wouldn't say that. No, absolutely not.
Not anymore. Maybe in like the 50s or 60s or something, but
I even say 20 years ago, maybe, but not anymore.
Hey, but I think here's because I have alcohol number 1, but when you brought up caffeine, which I don't even have on my list, it's just something I didn't think to do. Think about like the entire world would be directly negatively affected if caffeine disappeared. Like if tomorrow there could be no caffeine, there would be a lot of like high level businessmen and shit that just can't, because motherfuckers that's addicted to coffee, they can't even function. They got headaches and shit until they get a cup of coffee. They can't even, their brain don't even fully wake up.
Yeah.
So
terrible withdrawals.
Yeah, so we talking about just the impact on society. Nothing's fucking with caffeine, and let's not forget the Brits with their bitch ass tea.
Yep.
That's just snobby coffee.
Yeah, and soda and everything too.
Drink.
Yeah.
Energy drinks, all that. Yeah.
Energy drinks, all that shit.
Yeah, I like putting caffeine 1 if everyone's cool with it.
I'm cool with it.
I'm cool with caffeine 1.
All right. I didn't have it on my list either. Well, I had coffee, so I guess I kind of did. Is that how you spell it? Caffeine?
Yes, I think so. I can look it up.
Caffeine.
EIN.
No, it's probably wrong.
Let's see. Caffeine. Yes, Caffeine. The way you had it right.
I before E except after C is the most useless fucking thing I learned in school. That shit
ever
never ever fucking useful.
For sure, no.
You know what? There's probably more useless stuff I learned, but nothing was more emphasized than that. That stays with me.
Right. I remember it all the time, and then I try to use it, and I go, "That shit didn't fucking work."
No, it's
No.
never. Whenever you need it, that's never when it applies.
Yeah.
It's always for the words you already know.
Bro.
All right, so caffeine won.
But you know what never fails? Righty tighty, lefty loosey. Yo, you know what? That should be our next one. The next one I come on, we're gonna do fucking what do you call them? Are they called idioms?
Idioms.
Yeah, we're gonna do idioms that are useful.
I love that.
Useful
idioms.
Yeah, righty tighty, lefty loosey has never failed me.
Bro, that shit is in the pocket, bro. Keep it on me.
Got it tattooed on your arm. All right. So caffeine's one. Do we go alcohol too, or does anyone have an argument for a different two?
Alcohol too.
Yeah, alcohol is definitely two. Yeah.
I have nicotine above alcohol, but I'm not gonna argue it. I'm fine with alcohol too.
All right, I'll put alcohol too, and then let's talk about nicotine.
So I think the argument here is nicotine versus marijuana. That's what I think.
Yeah. To me, having the top three, caffeine, alcohol, and nicotine, seems kind of disrespectful to like drugs.
Yeah, because I mean, if we gonna get into it, because what you know what I have at number two, specifically, well, my number 2 and 3 are cocaine and then crack cocaine.
Mm-hmm. I had cocaine at 3.
Bro, cocaine's the only one that had a sequel, bro.
That's a really good point.
Like cocaine got 2 cocaines, bro.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Like they made it better. Actually,
go ahead, sorry.
No, and you might have an argument that there's 3 cocaine.
What's the third one?
Well, at first it was like you could sniff it, and then they started freebasing it, which was really just still powder cocaine, and then they came out with that crack. Like it was like the new iPhone. It's lighter, it's sleeker. You know, it doesn't last as long.
Was before cocaine? Was marijuana or anything like that a $1 billion industry? Because cocaine was firmly a $1 billion industry. Was that the first $1 billion drug?
Honestly, man, I would say that alcohol when prohibition came, I think alcohol. No, but actually, man, nigga, fucking England invaded China over opium.
Yeah.
I was going to say, opiates are, if you want to talk about something that's been re-rocked, so to speak, a bunch of different times and produced in like different manners, opiates, that's high on the list.
Yeah, I have opiates on my
list. You got heroin, you got opium, you have all these fucking pills now.
Yeah, you're right. So opium got a sequel, and the British Empire was built off opium, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. The Queen, there's a lot to talk about here.
Yeah.
Things like Godfather 1 and Godfather 2. Opium's like the Star Wars. Or opiates. Like, that shit just keeps coming out.
Yeah, that's never going away.
It's the new Marvel Cinematic Universe.
You ever hear Dope Fiend describe it?
No.
Because that's the one drug I've never done.
Opium?
Well, it's not the one drug. There's a few I haven't done. But that's one of the main ones that I haven't done. They're straight up heroin. But you ever hear somebody that does it describe it?
It's
man,
scary.
That shit sounds amazing.
Well, it has to. If people are willing to ruin their lives over it, it's got to be the fucking best drug ever.
Yeah, the way I heard it described. Yeah, the way I heard it described is like someone said it was injecting love into your veins.
Oof.
Yeah, I've heard
warm hug.
Liquid gold, salvation.
Oof.
Salvation, Jesus.
Damn.
Yeah.
This is like an advertisement for heroin.
They call it heroin. That's a female hero.
It's true. That's true. Jesus.
This heroin.
It ruined China.
So heroin is an opioid. So are we putting all opioids under opium? That's another thing.
I had heroin on the list because it's the most recognizable name.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Plus, also, I think if you were to offer somebody just straight up opium, I think they would look at you like you were crazy.
Mm.
Like if you showed up with just some poppy seeds, you can't come to Burning Man with some poppy seeds.
Yeah, because I
Poppy seed room at Burning Man though, and them motherfuckers are probably taking a great nap.
Yeah, you like, will anybody give me a bag of ice for these poppies? I don't know.
Yeah, because I split up heroin, and I had later on my list I had pharmaceutical opioids, just because that's like the government's getting in the drug game like legally. I thought that was important, but yeah, I would like to split them up as right now. I don't want to put them all under the opium category here.
Do we think opioids are above weed and cocaine though? I think we got to figure out which one of those two is going to go first.
No. I mean, maybe at one point they.
Mm-hmm.
I think right now I think weed is like the drug.
Well, because if you want to, let's say any sort of visualization, like let's say you want to visualize drugs without saying the words drugs, you want to communicate it to someone, you would show them the weed leaf.
Yeah, pot leaf.
And they know that you're talking about drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and you're not going to show them like a syringe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be a doctor.
It's the drugs of all drugs. Like, I don't know. I know very, very few people that won't do weed.
Uh-huh. Yeah, my mom's done it.
You know, yeah, it's like
Right.
everybody hits that point where they find out their parents have done it or tried it. It's because it's the entry level joints.
Yeah.
It really is.
That's why I think it deserves so much credit, is because it's like the drug that everyone can do, and
it is your entry level drug. You try that, then you get to the harder stuff.
Yeah, the gateway drug, as they tell us.
Yeah.
As Rich told us, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I think it should be top 3. I think it deserves that.
Because it does open the door for a lot of, like, I would have never done mushrooms if I'd never done weed.
Yeah.
Like, I would have never made that jump.
True. You kind of have to do weed before you do anything else. I feel like this list is going to be like in order of how you do drugs.
Yeah, because it's you know what it is? It's the drug that introduces you to not being to not feeling completely normal and getting used to that, getting used to being like out of your comfort zone in terms of like mentally.
So it also is the drug that teaches you, like, hey, not all drugs are, like, drugs aren't all dangerous like they teach you in school. It's like one of those, it's like,
Yeah.
You're not gonna die.
Yeah, that's the first drug where you're like, mom was a fucking liar.
Yep.
Matt,
I mean, you tried weed before nicotine.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm blurry. Oh well.
That's what I said the first time I smoked.
My camera's high.
Yeah.
But okay, but if you're bringing up what they said in school though, fucking, I remember them being in Dare and them describe. Did I have Dare?
Yeah.
some version.
Yeah,
of it. Yeah.
Like Nancy Reagan shit.
Yep.
And I remember them describing ecstasy. You know, and they were like, it brings on feelings of euphoria and intense pleasure. And I remember everybody in the class with each other like, what the fuck is wrong with that? Like, that was the one I always wanted to try because of Dare. They made me want to try it.
Yeah.
Remember they had the little red board and it had like supposed samples of all these drugs, and it was like, yep, that's the one. If I ever do drugs, it's gonna be that one.
Yeah, let's find that one.
They fuck up they let it be called ecstasy too. That's bad branding. Like, if you wanted people not to do it, you gotta call, you know what I mean? Yeah, you gotta call that like little dick fart shit. And they'll be like, oh, if I name my dick little.
Well, that's the thing, man. Cops don't get to name drugs. We name it.
Yep. Democracy.
You know, that's why I never wanted to do crack. It was like, what kind of people? Because the people that started doing crack are the people that named it. So what kind of shitty ass name is that?
Yeah.
Also, like in they always show like the cartoon versions of like the effects of the drugs, and ecstasy was always this guy with like a big ass smile and his eyes were huge. I was like, oh, looks like he's having a great time.
Yeah.
Amazing time. Yeah, I mean that drug has mostly upside.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Because look, I agree. Do we already agree weed at number three?
Yeah, I'll put it
Yeah, I
down
think
right
so.
now.
Okay, yeah. So I would say that if we as we move into the hard drugs, Molly is the top of the hard drugs
Absolutely.
because that's the first hard drug. No, because shrooms. I did shrooms before I did Molly.
Yeah. Molly's the best one though.
Mm.
But I do think more people do shrooms definitely
Than
more
Molly.
frequently, but also I think more people in general have done mushrooms over Molly. At least in my
Yeah,
experience.
because here's the sort of like as far as when you get deeper into drugs, the sort of non-natural, like the non-growing in the earth, is a line for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I think if you're willing to try Molly, you're probably more willing to try shrooms than someone who's just done shrooms is willing to try Molly.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, as I've never really like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have the feeling of like, oh, I want to try ecstasy that badly.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? Like,
I do think before we get into this discussion, I do think cocaine maybe belongs at 4. Before we get into harder drugs, I think that it's in terms of hard drugs, like that's the gateway hard drug.
that's
Right.
the one they
Okay.
warn you about in school too. The
Yeah,
most.
you're right.
And it's
What? I mean, it's,
I like where I'm at, where we work and stuff. I see it a lot more than I see any other drug. Maybe not weed, but
I'd say it's the second most iconic.
It's also blows my mind how some people love it, and then people like me, where I'm like, I don't get it.
yeah, I'm with you. I don't get it.
Why are my glasses crooked?
Also with cocaine too, through all the bad press, it just keeps coming back.
Yeah,
Oh, that's,
I mean,
that's facts.
it's something I've been told is terrible my entire life, yet it's everywhere constantly.
yeah. It kills people, and people still do it.
Yeah, it is very much like it's probably as one of the most like just plow through the negative effects of it, or like the negative press more than anything else.
Yeah, it's a survivor.
Yeah,
It doesn't even look fun in movies,
It's like Mel
but
Gibson.
people are still here.
Brian just said it's like Mel Gibson, which is so funny.
yeah, and personally, I was offered cocaine much earlier than any other drug. I think, other than weed.
Yeah.
Like after weed, cocaine was the next thing that came into like my life. Of people were like, "Do you want to do this?"
So
Yeah.
after weed is probably the second most social drug.
Yeah.
And it's
And
just
it's-
iconic.
it's
It's very
definitely-
iconic.
It's the most used. It's definitely the most used drug, probably even more than weed.
Yeah.
You think so?
I mean,
It's also it's the only one that doesn't like when you picture someone who's a cokehead, like the classic vision of that it's like a businessman, like someone who works on Wall Street or something, not like a dirty bum in the street.
Also, you if you've been around one cokehead long enough, even ex-cokehead, you kind of get very good at spotting them when you're in the wild too.
Mhm.
You're like, oh,
Yeah,
that
well,
guy's coke energy, that guy's coke
Yeah,
energy.
that's what I'm saying. They got two versions of it, like the iPhone. They got, they got the Coke for the rich people, and then they got the SE. They got the crack. Because when you picture crack, you picture the dirty bum in the street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You say cocaine, and they get separate jail sentences. Get a couple extra years, you dirty fucking bum.
That's crazy.
Here's a ticket, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
You will
crazy.
step over the dirty bum to go to some high rise in Manhattan to do cocaine with like
Yeah.
a rich person.
But it ain't never been no fentanyl and crack. At least nothing I've heard of.
Hmm.
That's interesting. But give it time. It seems like this. It seems like this. Whatever this fentanyl is very. It's slowly becoming ubiquitous, like everywhere.
Yeah. It'll come with a new update.
Yeah. The iCocaine 13 will have fentanyl in it. Yeah. It's got a backwards facing camera and fentanyl.
Don't forget the iconic notch.
Yep. I gotta have the notch.
Warrior notch.
Um,
Yeah, Coke's definitely next.
all right. All right. So we go caffeine, alcohol, weed, cocaine, and I think now is kind of where we can kind of venture off and figure out where to go from here.
We're disrespecting nicotine a little bit.
Yeah, because now we're moving into the drugs that you had to meet a white person to get a hold of back in the 90s. Now we,
not necessarily. I do think, and Morgan just said it. I mean, I do think nicotine should probably come up here.
Yeah, it's starting to fall off a little bit though. That's the issue.
I mean, not really though. Cigarettes are starting to fall off.
Oh, we're back. We're back.
I thought you said that doesn't have nicotine in it.
No, it has 100% has nicotine in it.
Oh, I thought you always told me it doesn't have nicotine.
Yeah,
I never said that to you.
Oh.
Nicotine's so good. People have found a way to smoke it indoors again.
Yeah, then absolutely. It should go here.
Yeah, it's definitely got the most forms. You got patches, chewing gum, vaping. You got the OGs just straight up smoking, cigars for snooty motherfuckers.
Fucking dip.
Dip.
People are so addicted to nicotine, they walk around spitting all day, looking disgusting.
Yeah. Also, it's the easiest one for kids to get.
Yeah.
Like, people start way younger. Nicotine, they start probably the youngest average. If I had to guess the average start time around the world, nicotine's probably the youngest.
Yeah, you're right. A cigarette was the first drug I ever did, for sure.
Same.
Yeah, I got my ass beat the first time I touched a cigarette.
Mine was weed, but
You got your ass beat, or that was your first drug?
that was the first one. I got my ass beat also, but that was my first one.
Yeah, I remember when I started smoking when I was like 16 or 17 or something, and I you know how you smell so bad when you smoke, and I always just assumed my mom would never catch me, and she always did. It's such a hard smell to hide. It's like people know when you've been smoking.
Yeah, it's cigarettes. You know, the beauty of weed is that shit'll dissipate after a while. Mm-hmm. Cigarettes stay on your clothes.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. I kind of like putting nicotine here if everyone's in agreement with that.
I kind of want to put nicotine
I'm in agreement.
here. I think it's been a little, to put anything below 5 is probably a little disrespectful.
Yeah, that's a strong top 5. That
is a strong top 5, I think.
All right. So then we got 5 more. We've talked about a couple of them already. What do you guys think should go here?
We're breaking up opioids, we said?
Yes.
I don't know if we have to break them up, but it's like, I put heroin just because it like whatever the opioids marketing teams are, heroin is the best one. It's like the drug you hear about the most and most iconic, I think.
I feel like heroin is like opium's crack.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair assessment.
What else is included in opioids? Like specifically?
So you got Percocet, oxycodone, hydrocodone, heroin,
morphine.
Fentanyl, morphine.
Okay.
And bro, so wait a minute. We gotta put some respect on oxycodone's name because that sparked a whole culture across the South of niggas sipping on scissor and somebody actually recently, who like stopped the scissor shit was telling me all these kind of stories about their days when they were on it, and the way they described it, it was also made it seem fun. It made it seem fun as hell, but it scared the shit out of me because it's like, but I mean, it has its own culture that people don't even really look at as like gross or disgusting, you know?
Yeah.
Because what's gonna happen is like if you run up on say you kick it with a chick that just never met you before, and she like, are you on something? And you're like, yeah, I'm on crack. They're gonna be like, ew, I'm on heroin. But if you like, I'm sipping on a little something. They go like, what? Oh yeah, you smell like Jolly Ranchers.
Yeah.
It's like that's the word. Like you don't seem dirty or gross. You smell like candy. And you might have.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, so the way I dealt with opiates is I just split them up. I split them up into heroin because that's like the most famous of the street drugs. And then I put because oxycodone, hydrocodone, Percocet, like they're all like, I just grouped them under pharmaceutical opioids, and I had heroin 6, pharmaceutical 7. That's how I split them up.
I like that because heroin does feel like it's its own monster. And the other
really
ones
does.
You can always kind of group together.
Well, it's also, I feel like a lot of people now, they get started with the pharmaceuticals, then they move to heroin.
Sure.
Yeah,
So I don't know if that gives the pharmaceuticals more power or not, but
yeah. I wonder what that point is where you're like, man, I'm done fucking around.
Time for the big leagues.
You know what I'm saying? I'm ready to lose a toe, nigga.
Well, it's at the time where you're doing like oxycodone or hydrocodone, and you just feel nothing. It just does nothing for you. Then you have to move on to heroin.
Mm-hmm.
well, I have a friend. He was an addict, or he is an addict, and he was his thing was it's when he couldn't get the hydrocodone and the oxycodones. That's when he would go get heroin.
Mm.
So it's like a lot of it's like an availability thing, and then once you start doing the heroin, I don't think there's any real turning back to the fucking pills.
Also, as far as like other drugs, like pharmaceutical opioids made doctors like straight up street drug dealers almost. You know what I mean? Like they get a supplier, they got to kick back to the supplier. Like that made doctors street level drug dealers.
Think about this. There's never been a heroin crisis.
Yeah.
And in fact, it's what Morgan said. Most of the heroin quote unquote crisis started because people can't get their hands on these opioids.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying there's an opioid crisis. I mean, the government's named an epidemic, but they've never named heroin as a problem.
Yeah.
You know, it was the crack epidemic, and then it skipped all that other shit, and it was the opioid epidemic. They're like, we can't stop these companies that we allow to legally exist from flooding.
And giving tax breaks.
They're confused. It's sweeping, and that's like you've been like, yo, there's a McDonald's epidemic.
So you guys want to put opioid 6?
I would say pharmaceutical opioids specifically, because I think that's the big, like, we gotta make this, like, this is a straight up drug that turned our whole healthcare system into drug dealers.
Yeah. Pharma.
And it's a $1 billion industry. There's not a lot of, like, cocaine, marijuana, and alcohol, and I guess caffeine, nicotine. Those are all the other $1 billion industries. I think after that, it doesn't hit $1 billion. $1 billion's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is a huge industry.
You don't think weed's a $1 billion industry?
I said weed's a $1 billion industry too. It's like those like 5 are it.
Oh, meth.
Yeah, I had meth at 5 on my list.
I got it at 12.
Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Oh, you got it at 12.
Yeah, for me. It's just it's too new. Do you know what I mean? These others are like staples in society. I feel like the meth thing is something that's just been started around like the 90s, and it's just like I don't know. I also have MDMA off my list. It was at 11, but I don't think I think it's gonna make it.
MDMA. I mean, that's gotta be on the list.
Yeah.
Somewhere. Yeah.
I mean,
okay. What about shrooms?
Yeah, I
have shrooms at 6.
Okay.
I have shrooms at 8.
I didn't even write mushrooms down. I completely forgot about them.
That's insane.
Wow.
So I didn't have them on my list, but I feel stupid for forgetting them.
Yeah. Just want to point out, Joe Carl brought up a good point in the chat that nicotine bankrolled the modern advertising industry. That's an interesting.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
I feel like shrooms is iconic because shrooms is the one drug that if I could, I would make everyone do it at least once.
Yes.
It's the most helpful drug, I think.
Stay here for 6 hours, learn some shit about yourself. Go be a better person afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah, Joe Carl has another good point where it's like it definitely helps with art and stuff too, and for sure music. When bands and musicians started doing acid and mushrooms and shit, music got way better. At least white people music got way better.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, and now, now that it's socially acceptable for black folks to do it, I think it's making black music better too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
black music also got better from cocaine, but that's
like you think
another
argument. Think we could have Smino without hallucinogens?
Not a chance. Not a chance. And mushrooms just feel like we should give them more credit because they are such like a happy drug compared to all this other bullshit we have on here. Where it's like
It's definitely the most
the safest.
yeah,
Definitely the safest. They can take a dark turn,
sure.
but
it's definitely the most spiritual. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it
um,
most people it makes a better person if you do.
Look at
it, so.
DMT, bro.
yeah. So maybe we can lump the spiritual shit into one category then. If we go, because then you got to go to acid. If you're gonna do mushrooms, you got to throw some credit to acid.
Yeah, but
It doesn't feel spiritual for me though.
Acid.
Really?
No, when I do acid, it's not a spirit thing at all. It's way more of like a psychedelic. Like it's psychedelic, but not in like a spiritual sense. It's more like visual stuff than the thing I feel inside.
Yeah,
like mushrooms for me are way more internal than acid.
I feel like mushrooms are like an internal thing, and acid is like an external thing. to me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like mushrooms make me think about myself, and acid makes me think about the world.
Well, yeah, I think Jeffrey Burr described it to me the best way. Like mushrooms, the spotlight is in your head, and acid, the spotlight is out, like outside of your head, like from your head out.
That's a good point. I do think I don't know if we have to group them together. I think mushrooms are a little more accessible.
Again, that line of something that can grow in the earth.
Yeah.
Is a huge line for people. Like, I know people that would probably like acid but won't do it. You know what I mean? Because it's not grown. It's manufactured.
Oh, acid is such a terrible marketing campaign. Like the name acid is just so fucking harsh.
Yeah.
If we just went with like it sounds like such a just you're doing something, you're grinding, like you're burning your brain or something. It's like if you just went with LSD, I think more people would be inclined to do it.
Or just, I mean, the perfect names are when you name them women's names. Molly, Lucy. I call acid Lucy sometimes.
I like Lucy.
Tina.
Brenda. Tina. Well,
yeah.
Sounds harsh too.
Yeah, acid does sound harsh. It's like just like that general question of like if you ask someone who didn't know drugs and you're like, "Do you want to put acid in your body?" They'd be like, "No."
Yeah, hell no.
No, fuck no. Yeah.
Yeah,
That sounds terrible for you.
Just call acid Debbie.
Ooh, Debbie's
Why?
good. That's a nice name.
Because doing Debbie just has a nice ring to it.
It's got those soft B's in the middle.
Yeah. Alliteration. It's
Yeah.
got it all.
A lot of people would be, if it was called Debbie, a lot of people would be doing acid in Dallas. That'd be like a place to do acid, you know?
Damn, that's gonna go over some heads, Hassan, but that's brilliant.
Yeah, so I mean, do we want to put mushrooms here then?
We want to put mushrooms here.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that a lot. Good job, mushrooms. All right, then we got 3 spots left. We've talked about heroin, we've talked about meth, we've talked about acid, we've talked about Molly. I also want to bring up one. I don't know if it belongs on the list, but steroids is kind of a big one.
Yeah. I wrote this down, and it's probably not going to make the list, but it made me happy. There's a couple, like, medicines that I think, like, maybe penicillin.
I wrote that down, too, yeah.
I wrote down penicillin, and I wrote down ibuprofen.
Okay. I kind of thought of them, and I was like,
definitely a big one.
I was like, they shouldn't make the list. But
Penicillin.
Yeah, because again, those drugs aren't to change your mind state. Those are drugs for change to like doing something physical to yourself. I mean,
dealing with a problem.
Steroids is like having plastic surgery or something.
yeah.
But it's more work. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, none of them made my list. I just wanted to bring them up to see if they could get any traction.
Because if we're bringing up medically beneficial drugs, then you would have to put antibiotics at the very top.
Well, that's why I put that's why I wrote penicillin down. It's like that seems to be out of all like that sort of spawned all the like antibiotic sort of drugs, right? That was the one that was like, well, this is sort of big, and that's the only one that'd be like, well, maybe we should talk about. We don't need to talk about ibuprofen by any stretch of the imagination.
Like we should talk about it, but not around those 400 black people from Tuskegee.
we thanked them for their service. Well, actually, we never did thank them for their service. They just sort of existed.
We did after they were all dead.
And that's what's important.
We apologized after they died.
A legacy apology.
Yeah.
It lasts longer than a regular apology.
The best kind.
yeah, the ones where you don't have to take any responsibility. Yeah. That's the best. That's the best kind. You can just say sorry, and no one's there to challenge you.
Yep, perfect. I also wrote down bath salts just because of the fun Florida stories and stuff.
Bath salts had a moment for sure.
I think it's built on honorable mention.
Flocka?
What is?
Do you remember that?
I thought
it was like bath salts times like 10. Like people were just and the other Sherm. That's a big one too.
Hey, that water, that love boat.
Yeah.
That shit had a moment. I mean, it had a moment. It had a moment in my city. I don't know where y'all from, but that shit took over for a little bit.
What are you talking about?
The kids dipping cigarettes in embalming fluid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Remember like spice and salvia and people jumping out of windows and shit.
Yeah. I do.
Salvia?
Yeah.
People jump out of windows in salvia?
Yeah, they would like freak out and jump out there. There's like videos of people.
No, salvia was the shit. Because listen, I'm gonna tell you something about salvia. I did it twice in one night. I did it once and said I would never do it again, and I did it again. and I'll say salvia is the only drug on this list that I've tried where, while it's in effect, I did not know I was on drugs. I thought the shit that was happening was really happening.
Whoa!
It was the most potent hallucinogen I've ever done because you will hallucinate immediately, and you will not know that it's because you know how with every other drug, like when you did too much or it's hit you too hard, you can go calm down. It's just the drugs. Yeah. It's just the drugs. But on salvia, you can't do that. It's like reality. You disconnected from reality. You're just like, yep. I've broken into a million pieces, and if I don't keep myself together, I'm going to fall apart. It's that you really believe it. Wild. At least for me, that was my experience.
Yeah, it was pretty. I did salvia once. I did it with a group of friends, and wasn't that like large. I kind of was in one reality and the other. Like I was able to stay a little grounded. But my friend had this crazy experience where she was like, yeah, it felt like I was transported in a campfire to like a campfire, and we're all 50. And we were talking about this trip that we're having right now, but it felt real. Like it was like at a certain point, she was like, "Oh fuck!" Like we're actually living the trip. We're not talking about it 50 years in the future.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, bro, I feel like I was like the Jackie Robinson of hallucinogens for the hood because I did it when I was in the military, and I remember I called back home and told my family that I was doing like hallucinogens and shit, and once we got past all of the nigga, you've been out there around white people too much type of shit. My brother was like, yo, send me some of that shit, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yo, it's legal. You can just go buy it in the head shop, or at least out here, right? Like, yo, send me some of that shit, bro. I'll fucking set the block on fire. I'm like, yo, you ain't gonna be able to sell this to people. No one's gonna do this again. Somebody might come back and fight you, dog. Like, it's not a drug you're gonna sell that you're gonna make no money off.
No,
I've never met a salvia dealer. I've never met somebody, and I know drug dealers that sell everything, but they don't sell salvia.
Yeah, that's true. Like last time I was in LA, I went to 7-Eleven and some guy still tried to sell me weed. It's like people are still doing that in Los Angeles. Yeah, I've never met a salvia dealer.
Like, nigga, if you don't get the fuck away from me.
Yeah, the fuck. I could just walk. Like, you're trying to sell me. Let's say, yeah, sure. You're trying to sell me soda on the side of the road. It's like, why would I do that?
Yeah.
Like, nigga, that shit don't got no nutrition facts on it. You better get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, but I'm in the same boat with salvia. I have no interest in doing it again. It's like, if it was offered to me at a party, I'd be like, not even it's definitely not a party drug. So if my friend offered to me, I was like, maybe. But like, I'm never gonna seek it out. I had my one experience; it's good enough.
But you know what? I do want to be around when someone else does it for the first time. Like I'd like to be around to see somebody else do it for the first time. But I'm definitely good. I'm good on that.
Yeah, it sounds like
Where do you guys stand on Salvia versus DMT?
DMT.
DMT,
Not even
yeah,
close.
me too.
Not even close.
I haven't done.
But I feel like
DMT.
it gets you ready for DMT though, because you gotta experience that like short burst like of a trip before like you can actually like blast the fuck off with DMT.
Dude,
Right.
I'm.
At least for me, that's my experience.
I
keyboard
still
cleaner.
haven't.
Brad, are you interested in doing Are you interested in doing DMT?
Yes, but I've been trying to find DMT.
What?
It's so hard.
When's the next time you're in Austin? When's the next time you're in Austin?
I'm not sure yet. It'll be sometime this year though.
Okay, because I could definitely make that happen.
There's another guy in this chat that could probably help you, and it's not me.
Yeah, I'm sitting right here. I'm offering.
Okay.
Fucker, what are you doing Thursday? Yeah. Like,
Oh, no, Thursday. Thursday, I'm going to a Marine base. So that's not a good one.
Perfect opportunity.
No, it's definitely especially for the first time. It's definitely a have a clear night type of drug, so you can actually so you're not like, oh, I gotta go do stuff after.
Oh yeah, is it a I shouldn't have nothing to do the next day kind of drug?
No.
no, you'll be fine in like 30 minutes.
You'll be fine in 30 minutes, but it's definitely a nice drug to like when you're with friends to like sort of decompress afterwards with friends. It's like
It's a lot.
if you're in a hurry to do stuff, then I wouldn't take it. But you can. Like it's not physically gonna stop you. But mentally you might be like, damn, I want to talk to somebody about this.
And also, I think for you, it'd be like the opposite of Salvia, where you're like, I'm never doing this again. With DMT, it's like, I can't wait to go back down. Like, that shit was awesome.
Okay.
It's like a roller coaster for your soul.
That's a good way of describing it. That's a good way of describing it.
I'm getting flashbacks right now, just like, ooh.
It's pretty incredible. And it's pretty incredible. And like when we did it, we didn't even do like a lot of it. It was a very light dose, but it was incredible.
Okay.
So number 8, what do we put?
Motherfuckers just laying down.
Y'all ain't gotta convince me, nigga. I'm convinced.
He said he wanted to do it an hour though.
Yeah, my problem is availability, dog. I'm already ready. I mean, I'm ready to deal with the consequences. I mean, that's why I'm a comic for a living.
Yep.
I don't really have much to do the next day in the morning.
Yep.
Yeah, it's fine. Or you could just do it in the afternoon and you'll be completely good at night. You know what I mean? Like it's also that.
Could I do it right before I go on stage?
No.
No,
Like,
absolutely
not. No.
We might wheel you out in a wheelchair or something, maybe.
Yeah, because you're not gonna be. Once you're in it, you're not gonna be able to talk. Yeah. When you're in it, you're fucking in it, dude. It's crazy.
It might be fun to watch though.
Yeah, if you had the 1 o'clock last spot in the OR, for sure. And then just talk about it.
I might do that.
Still 15 minutes.
I'd watch.
Oh.
So what are we doing for 8?
Yeah, I mean, what were the 4 we had? We had meth, Molly, acid, heroin.
Oh, damn.
I would say out of all, I would say out of, for me, it seems like it's between meth and Molly here.
Dude, MDMA has got to be on this list because, bro, that's the only drug. That's the drug that made me feel like drugs. Like I before I did drugs, that's the drug that made me feel how I thought drugs would be. Like just good. Like if you get some good pure MDMA, there's nothing like that. That's my favorite. That would be my favorite drug to do. My favorite hard drug to do if I could consistently get the pure shit.
Yep.
Like I'm gonna do that because I'm gonna do that shit one more. I'm gonna do that shit one time before I die. If I get diagnosed with a terminal illness or something, I'm gonna be like, yo, fine, give me some pure MDMA and make me some Kool-Aid with 2 parts sugar, 1 part MDMA, and mix that shit all together. And I'm gonna sip that shit till I fucking don't wake up no more.
I would be okay with MDMA here.
It's my favorite drug. I want to put it here. Although I do think heroin is hella iconic.
LSD.
Huh?
Say what?
Morgan?
I agree with Matt. I feel like heroin's too iconic, but let's not disrespect LSD because that's without doubt my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the clean. If you get clean, there's so many kinds though. You know,
What's the difference between LSD and MDMA?
Well,
LSD is acid, and LSD is
okay.
or LSD is acid. MDMA is Molly.
Okay. That's what I thought, but then yeah, whatever. I
Too many letters. I feel you.
I kind of think that heroin might have to go earlier than we like. To me, it might beat mushrooms.
oh, wow, that's not on the list already. Read the list we got already.
The list goes: caffeine, alcohol, weed, cocaine, nicotine, pharmaceutical opioids, and mushrooms. But to me, heroin is like the most iconic hard drug. I mean, cocaine, I guess, but like heroin is the drug that they try to scare you about drugs with.
Heroin's
That's
pretty
fair.
iconic.
Is it more iconic than mushroom?
Like think of all the famous musicians, actors, whatever that have overdosed. How many of them were heroin?
Well, yeah, because mushrooms don't kill you. But I'm sure they all enjoyed mushrooms also.
Right, but
I'm
I'm
sure
saying-
they all smoked weed too.
I'm saying that's what helps make it iconic is it's killed a lot of your favorite artists
That's facts, and ruin the rest.
and ruined a lot of them too, and made some of them good at art. But
I mean,
I
would-
like mushrooms where they're at. I don't think we need to move it,
I mean,
but I'm
no,
saying
Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, I'll pick up next. I still want to move them over mushrooms. My fault, bro. What'd you say?
I said Jimi Hendrix, Basquiat, Kurt Cobain, Keith Ledger.
Mac Miller.
Oh no, it's Heath Ledger. Is it Keith? Is it Heath or Keith?
it's Heath.
But
Okay.
he died on heroin? I thought
You
he
just
died on
combine
like, sleeping pills.
Heath Ledger and Keith Richardson and Keith Richards,
Oh yeah, Keith Richards.
which would make for one hell of a drug addict.
I
Keith
really
Richards
would.
is still alive, right?
Yeah, he's
yeah,
still alive.
That's
Keith
crazy.
Richards is still alive.
Undefeated.
That's absolutely crazy.
Ozzy Osbourne for
Amy
sure.
Winehouse.
Oh yeah, Amy Winehouse. That killed her. I would put heroin below weed still.
Yeah, I don't know if it needs to go up that high. I think coke can beat heroin too, and I guess nicotine.
There's 3 more spots, right?
Yeah. To me,
There's an argument for switching pharmaceutical opioids and heroin, with moving heroin to 6 and opioids to 8. But
or move mushrooms.
I think mushrooms is in the perfect spot. I really don't want it to fall.
The epidemic argument really helps with pharmaceutical opioids.
Yeah, I mean, and the fact that heroin like pharmaceutical opioids more often than not now leads to heroin. Like it's that way.
Yeah.
Like it's gone that direction. That's why I think heroin should be 8.
8?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
So
No.
we have 2 more spots.
Everyone wants Molly on the list.
Right.
Yes, I'll go Molly 9.
I think we could put Molly
Okay.
here.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
I
Should
can
we
agree
what's
with that as
10?
well.
MDMA /
What's
Molly.
the last spot?
This MDMA is good enough.
All right. And then the last spot. I mean, it's kind of between what acid and what else do we
Said
have?
meth and
Acid and meth.
I
Yeah.
mean, I have ketamine.
I wrote down
I have
ketamine. I wrote down DMT. I wrote down ayahuasca.
And a red zone witching hour.
Oh, I also wrote roofies. I wrote Rohypnol or whatever it's called,
Rohypnol.
Creepy answer.
which is my favorite drug.
You can tell by the you can tell by the backwards hat. Yeah.
No, people take GHB on purpose.
Yeah, I've done it before.
What does it do? It just puts you to sleep.
If you don't do enough to like roofie yourself, it kind of it's kind of like ketamine. It's
Yeah,
kind of
but-
that same like feeling, but
It disassociates you,
mhm.
where you kind of feel like you're observing yourself.
Interesting.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Or like you're not the person in charge of what's going on. Like it's like a movie. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, what do you guys think? I think acid and meth both have strong arguments to be 10.
I think if it's between acid and meth, I feel like acid is a little bit above meth because it's been around longer.
Been around longer, way more iconic. It's inspired way more positive things. Like no one is doing meth is having a good time.
Yeah.
You've never seen someone on meth, you're like, oh man, that person's just crushing it.
But
Bro,
you also know when, like,
meth is having a good time. like if meth is your drug, you're not having a good time ever.
yeah.
No.
Yep.
Yeah, constantly.
Yeah, it's
And
not like
even if you-
I never hangover from acid. You're not up for 3 straight days.
And even if you having what you think is fun, it feels like it's going by so fast.
Yeah, you only have time to enjoy it when you're on
Yeah,
meth.
it's like you do meth at 10 p.m. and then 30 minutes go by and it's 5 a.m. and your TV's taken all apart. You don't remember how to put it back together.
that's funny.
You know, or you take meth at fucking 10 p.m. and you start looking for a porn video to jerk off to, and then 30 minutes later it's 5 a.m. and you have 100 tabs open because you haven't picked one. And now your dick can't get hard.
It just makes you indecisive and dirty.
That seems like
Right.
that seems like a sober problem as well.
Yeah, I've done that before and I've never done that.
Yeah, it definitely seems like a sober issue, dude. That's a porn thing, I think, more than a meth thing.
Brian just blamed it on the meth.
The same symptoms from the wrong antidepressants.
I think the meth argument is like, for sure, living in LA, you can kind of identify meth users pretty quickly. And if
Sorry, I think it's easier for. Yeah, I think it's also easier for us to identify like acid more because we don't live in those parts of the country where it's like, oh, meth dominates.
yeah,
That's the thing.
it ruins
Acid
towns.
Yeah, acid doesn't dominate a region. Meth destroys whole cities.
Mhm.
Like in the same way that the opioids do. Just to a little bit lesser of an extent. We want to put acid because
But does that make it more iconic than acid? Because that's the criteria y'all gave me. What's the most iconic?
I mean, if you've ever been to one of those towns, it's horrible. It's like traumatizing.
Meth didn't have a movement. Acid sparked a whole fucking 2 decades of Summer of Love and
Summer of Love. Yeah, hell,
psychedelic rock, and there's psychedelic cartoons and psychedelic this and that. Like acid has its own whole thing.
that's true. Acid inspires art, and that's huge. Acid does inspire art.
Yeah, meth.
Only meth cartoon I can think of is like Ren and Stimpy.
Meth is just white people's crack.
Dude, we were talking about this before you got on. I was watching this stream where Nickelodeon released their version of Super Smash. So I was watching SpongeBob fight April O'Neil, and I was like, "This is very acidy." Like the whole situation was super acid. That's the only way.
What system is that on?
Huh?
What system is that on?
I actually don't know. I was just watching someone play it on stream. But I'll you know what I'll do? I'll link the stream to you right now in the Discord general. So afterwards you can go check it out. But
Text that to me, dog. I gotta go, actually, guys.
All right,
Actually, I have 2 minutes.
I think we're done.
Okay.
Let's so we
I
gotta
said
pick
put acid over meth.
All right.
Acid over meth.
I like that, and then meth will be number one honorable mention.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think honorable mention. I think you should mention DMT as well in the honorable mentions.
Meth,
Without a doubt.
DMT, we'll do ketamine, bath salts,
Drink 'em.
Jenkum.
Shankum.
I think we should put social media, guys. Be that guy.
It's actually really good. Will that get us
Yeah.
clicks, do you think?
I think social media, especially with yesterday, with it being down, and I was fiending for it. Yeah.
Shit down.
100%.
As soon as Instagram came back, we were in the middle of a podcast. I just stopped talking to Matt and started responding to like DMs and shit.
Yeah, he
Like
quit
I
the
immediately
podcast
don't
in
care
the
about this anymore.
I'll do ayahuasca.
was
too,
mid-story.
since that was Morgan's number one. We'll throw it on honorable mentions.
A lot of people got exposed yesterday too because I realized like all of the people that's young. I mean, most of my friends are younger than me, but they will all be like, "Oh, you still on Facebook? Facebook's lame." And then Facebook went down for 5 hours, and all of them lost their fucking mind.
Yeah.
Oh, you on Facebook? That's for old people. Facebook's lame. Nobody's on Facebook. I'm never on Facebook. Next thing you know, because I'm not on Facebook that often, so I go on Twitter and I'm like, "What the fuck happened?" I slept through the whole outage, so I woke up to all that shit.
That's funny.
Yeah. Cool.
You should put Jenkum on the honorable mentions just for for interaction purposes.
All right, it's on. Cool. That's
Thank
our
you.
list then. Thank you, Brian. We put your Instagram handle on the stream, but if you want to plug anything else, go ahead.
Oh, when is it coming out?
It's live.
Oh, why don't you plug the Punch Quest for the Magical Puffco tour that starts next week or the week after that?
All right.
The link is in my Instagram bio, but we're gonna be in Denver, Portland, San Jose, Tacoma, Washington, and Los Angeles.
Oh yeah.
Dope.
Hell yeah.
Cool. Thanks for doing it. That was fun.
We're giving away swag bags, like a lot of paraphernalia.
We feel you.
Yeah.
Dope.
Uh,
All right. That's it. I'll end the stream and then we can hang in Discord for a second. But thanks again for doing it.
All right, later.
Thanks, Prime.
See you, dog.